What's it like to buy a car from a dealer-only auction? Let's find out. You've probably seen car auctions in the past. Mecum, Barrett-Jackson, that kind of thing. This is not like that. This is an auction not open to the public, where dealers can buy and sell cars between themselves in order to resell on their lots directly to the public. Now, of course, I know nothing about this world, and that's where Brendan, our used car dealer expert, comes in. So we've come into this giant lot, and over there we see some auction bays and just cars everywhere. And Brendan, what are these cars doing?
So these cars are all getting lined up and ready to go through the auction block. Even some of these collector cars and classic cars make it through these dealer auctions.
And how do the cars end up here?
You know, it varies. Some of them are donated to charities, others are traded into dealers, believe it or not. Even some of these, like this Bel Air that you see over here, could very well have been traded into a dealership.
A huge thank you to the great folks over at Dealers Auto Auction of the Rockies for allowing us this really cool peek behind the curtain into this fantastic world of used car dealer auctions. Now, these guys are awesome, and in the course of just 3 hours, they sold over 1,000 cars, over 1,100 cars actually, and the efficiency at which they operate is mind-blowing. Now, as a dealer, you can show up the day ahead of time and scope out the vehicles you may want to bid on. You can start them up, poke the buttons, take them for a little bit of a test drive, and this is where Brendan comes in. He went on Wednesday before the auction and found some really cool options for us to bid on. Now, we're looking for a four-wheel drive for under $2,000, something we can take to the ranch and really put through its paces, and then fix up, make better, add some value to. So we're looking for some kind of, really affordable off-roader to go play around at the ranch and then do a video series with. And come over here, Brendan has actually found something pretty cool. So this is a ZJ Grand Cherokee. And Brendan, when you come up to a vehicle at an auction, what kind of information can you learn from it based on the stickers? So
the sticker there will tell you that it's a 1996.
Yep.
That it's got 212,000 miles on it. And then, you can see Grand Cherokee, Laredo, and you got the VIN and everything right there.
So when you are at these auctions, are they unlocked? Can you kind of look inside of them?
They're unlocked and have the key in them.
4-liter, baby.
Yeah, fires right up.
Yeah, it's nice actually. Now, obviously pretty high mileage, but this is an older model, right? Like we're talking 26 years old.
Right.
So it sounds like this might not be something that a lot of dealers would want on their lots.
Yeah, and something with this high of mileage, they're not going to necessarily sell on their lots either, because they typically want something. You used to think the under 100,000 mile range. Nowadays, it's under the 200,000 mile range. So as long as it's under 200,000 miles, you can see it on dealer lots. But once you start getting over that, they tend not to put them on their lots.
Now, conditions-wise, there's not a lot of information about the transmission, the engine, the driveline.
Right.
When you were out here yesterday, could you take this thing for a little spin? Did you zoom it around? Okay.
Yeah, there's a little test track over here that you can kind of get it up to maybe 30, 40 miles an hour as well. But yeah, you can test it out a little bit. Obviously, I can't quite get it up to highway speeds, so it's minimal testing, but you can get a little decent idea.
And you said that this guy has a bad cat, though, because you ran the codes?
Yeah, it's got a check engine light, and it had a P0420 code, just like our Forester. And so I'm assuming that's going to mean that it needs a cat.
All right. Well, not a bad potential option. I wanted to see what it would be like to test drive a car ahead of the dealer auction. So Brendan and I hopped in a super rare, super unusual Pontiac Bonneville SSEI, and we took it for a spin. These cars are actually really cool. First of all, they're force inducted, supercharged, right? You got the boost gauge there. Look at these old school style driver information panels. It's got traction control. This thing was a hell of a vehicle. Oh, is this the test track here?
This is your little entrance to the test track right here.
What if it breaks down in the test track?
Well, then you're making it so nobody else can drive on it.
Damn, dude!
Is that all the
no brakes, that's it!
Oh man, that transmission seemed like a kind of a rough shift as well.
Alright, the Bonnie is not going to be the car for us. It's just got too many issues, but it is a cool piece of history, so I'm glad we got to drive it. So the Bonneville was a little bit too rough and obviously not a four-wheel drive off-roader, but it perfectly demonstrates my favorite part about this auction: the sheer number of cars and diversity in cars that you can bid on. You got everything from nearly new Supras and Hellcats all the way down to sub-$1,000 Honda CR-Vs with over 300,000 miles. It's really cool to see these cars all lined up and all going across the auction at the same time.
This aisle right here is all donate vehicles. So all these vehicles were donated to different charities like churches or wounded veteran charities. And these actually tend to fetch a premium here at the auction because all the other ones are brought in from dealers, and other dealers are like, why are they bringing it here? There's got to be something wrong with it. Whereas these were just donated where people were trying to do something good. And they may not necessarily have issues, so you can actually find some really good gems in these donate piles.
This is really cool. A lot of people have been looking at it though.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not sure it's gonna go for super cheap. The Dakota was super nice, but only 2-wheel drive, which really limits its potential here in Colorado, and of course on the channel for an off-roader. Plus, we had a strict budget of just $2,000, and I'm not convinced that this Dakota will sell for that. We'll have to stay tuned. But something just around the corner caught my eye, a bright red Jeep Cherokee. So there we got a Cherokee. What year is it, Brandon?
This is a 96.
96, so
Under 100,000 miles too.
fairly late model Cherokee, under 200K, sport model, bright red. Oh,
It's got
bummer.
a little bit of rust holes there at the top.
That's a really bad place for rust. All right, Brandon, so what do we have here?
So this is a 2003 Dodge Durango, and I believe this one even has the V8 engine in it, so it's pretty nice little potent truck.
Oh yeah, look at that, Magnum. What is that, a 4.7 case? I'm going with it. I think it's probably a 4.7 or a 5.9. 5.2. I'm just gonna keep listing numbers so I get it right.
Yeah, it's either 4.7 or the 5.9, I think. I think it's probably the 4.7.
28. We'll
Yeah.
just keep listing numbers. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool. So it's a dark blue Durango, Magnum V8,
Yep.
4-wheel drive,
Fairly loaded. It's got the leather seats inside, and they're in pretty decent shape too.
fairly high mileage.
Yeah.
You know.
Again, something that's going to be pretty inexpensive at a dealer auction.
Now, what would you think something like this would go for today?
Sub 2,000 for sure. Maybe even below 1,500.
Really?
Yeah.
Before fees though, because you said there's like $400 to $600 in fees.
Yep.
Okay. Pretty high mileage, 235. And of course you got them legendary Dodge transmissions in these beasts.
Yeah.
But the variety of cars here is interesting. I mean, you'll have something like this, which may go for under $2,000. And then over there, you've got basically a new Pacifica and basically a new Rogue Sport, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to keep in mind too, you want to have a few options when you're going into the auction because it's going to depend on the order that they run it. So I always like to have at least 3 or more options because if they run, you may miss out on one. You may go, oh man, that's way too expensive, but then you have your backup options.
So here we have an 80 Series Land Cruiser. This is a 1996.
Yep.
Yeah, 96.
97.
97. LX, so it's actually a Lexus Land Cruiser. Now these cars are typically very expensive,
Yes.
especially nowadays. This one though, pretty high mileage, right?
Yep.
262, and it's pretty tired, and there's a thing of oil in the passenger seat.
Yeah, that's always a good indicator, right? When somebody just left it right there on the passenger seat for you. It's still got some oil in it, so if you need to make sure you make it home.
Now this one, you said you ran some codes, has some O2 sensor problems, right?
Yes, and I believe the AC is not blowing cold on this
Okay.
either.
Did you drive it
I did.
Yeah?
It actually drives pretty good.
for what it is?
Yeah.
This could be fun on the channel just to have as like a runabout on the ranch.
It's one of those things though that it could either be like silly cheap to get this thing or it could be crazy
Way
expensive.
too expensive.
Yes. Just had a little oil turn off there.
Yeah, it is a little bit oily, and blow by doesn't seem terrible.
Yep.
It's better than your Land Cruiser.
Watch it, Case. And this actually gets me pretty excited. So this is a Chevrolet Astro van, but it's an all-wheel drive Astro, which means it's kind of unusual.
Yeah, I actually missed this one yesterday, but I mean, 234,000 miles, 2003. This would probably go in your budget, believe it or not. And this would be, this is kind of a cool, like, make a cool, like, camper build.
It would be a cool camper build. Remember how we're talking about how some of them are clean and some of them aren't? This is probably going to fall into the not so clean.
Yeah.
Oh, good exhaust leak there.
Yep. Give it a few revs, let's see how the engine sounds okay.
If I show up with this, my dad would literally disown me. I hate to say it. I think it's cool, but no way in hell he'd let me come home with this thing. So this is a 2002 Chevrolet S10. cool little trucks, 207,000 miles, so kind of a high mileage unit. See if it runs.
Oh, look at that. Starts right up.
Quiet.
Does have the
Check
service
engine light.
engine.
You want to run a code on it, Brendan?
Sure.
So you've got a couple of tools with you. Let's see if the windows work. Windows work. Door locks.
Hey, this thing is nice.
This thing's pretty cool, actually.
I think the dash isn't cracked.
So it's got 4 codes in it.
Yep, so you got a PO174 fuel trim system lean.
Yep.
Ooh, crankshaft position, camshaft position sensor.
Not great.
Those are usually not good. And then again, and then
Fuel trim
so
lean.
basically kind of 2 codes.
If I
don't
knew
know.
more about like early 2000s Chevrolets, I would know immediately what that means.
Whenever I see those crankshaft or camshaft position sensors,
Yeah.
it always kind of scares me off a little bit. Sometimes it's a simple sensor, other times it's a major repair.
All right. With a few options in our back pocket, we headed off to the lanes to start our bidding. It's hard to express to you how quickly these cars sell. They pull into the lane, people raise their hands, place bids, and in a matter of seconds, they are sold. Dealers Auto Auction of the Rockies runs 6 lanes of auctions, all at the same time, and the energy in that building is incredible. It's so exciting. People raising their hands, people yelling, bids flying everywhere. It really is an amazing experience. Now, the first vehicle on our list to cross through the block was that first generation Dodge Dakota. Immediately, the bidding hit $2,000, which was our cap, and then rose to $2,600. We agreed to stay in it till about $2,200, but it went for over our agreed upon budget, and when you factor in auction fees, it probably would be north of $3,000 when it's all said and done.
36, thank you.
Get that one.
So a vehicle I'm interested in has come up. It's that Jeep Grand Cherokee, that ZJ Grand Cherokee. We've never done one. They're pretty cool vehicles.
Yeah,
Very high mileage though.
it is. But it's got the 4-liter engine in it, so I think you can rely on it.
And you drove it? It drove okay?
It drives pretty good. I think there were a few minor issues. I think it needs a cat, and I think the AC wasn't blowing very cold, but
Right.
other than that, it seemed to run and drive just fine.
So, I mean, a cat's going to be pretty expensive.
I mean, considering you're going to have auction fees on it, I would top myself out at maybe a little, just slightly over $2,000. So that way, so your actual auction price, you'd want to be at like $1,800-ish max, but I would hope to get it for less than that.
Okay, so auction price $1,800, so that with fees and stuff, you're going to be about $2,000. So let's do that. Let's just try to get it for $1,800
Okay.
in the craziness. It's pretty early into this lane, so hopefully people haven't figured out it's going yet. The bidding starts at about $1,000, and Brendan is cool and collected, discreetly throwing in bids. It raises to $1,200, then $1,300, then $1,400, and right around $1,700, the gentleman we were bidding against starts to get clearly a little bit nervous. It goes to $1,800. Ultimately, Brendan throws in a bid for $1,900. The hammer falls, and we bought ourselves a first-generation Grand Cherokee ZJ. What a rush! Yes! Woo! Brendan! Good work!
Yeah, you got it.
So here, let's move out of the way of this car. So, what are some of the strategies you employ when you're buying a car at an auction?
I mean, I was just looking at the other bidder to see how willing he was to keep going, and I did notice right before you came over to me that he was wavering a little bit. So I felt like if we did go another $100, which is what ended up happening, that he was just going to throw his hands up and not. I think we had reached his max. I think 1,800 was his max, just like it was our max. We both had the same number.
All right, so we went $100 over what we wanted to.
Yeah.
But now that we bought it, so how does this process work? Do we collect it? Where does it go?
So they're going to go and drive it and put it back in the lane.
Okay.
We can go get what's called a gate pass. We sign it, and we can leave with it, and then we'll mail a check.
All right, so our new Jeep now. I really didn't do as much pre-inspection as I probably should on this thing. I just kind of got in it, saw it didn't smell weird, saw it still had some paint on it, and now it's ours.
The interior in this thing is, I think, surprisingly nice.
Really nice, actually, yeah. All right, well, this bucket of magnificence is now our Jeep Grand Cherokee, thanks to Brendan, of course.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
This
So
is fun, wasn't it?
About $2,300 with fees.
Yeah,
right?
23, 24, somewhere in that range. I don't know the exact amount yet, but it'll be somewhere around there with fees.
And certainly it's a little rough here and there, but maybe we can clean it up on the cheap and show you what that process is like. All right, first drive in our new Grand Cherokee. Let's see if we can get us back to the office. Got half a tank of gas, got good charge, decent oil pressure, not overheating. all that feels good. I'm worried about the transmission though. That's kind of the Achilles heel on these Jeeps. That was a shift. I think it works. But overall, there's 40 miles an hour, doesn't shake, doesn't shimmy. Yeah, I like this thing. I think this is cool. I don't think my dad's gonna like it very much, but I'll take it. For the price we paid for it, doesn't seem like a bad Jeep. Well, the weather stripping has seen some better days, as has the paint, and this is not very good. This guy right here got some bubbling on the tailgate. But overall, for I think we'll be out the door like $2,300. It's not a bad little Jeep. It runs really well. It's got that 4-liter straight six. The steering's good. The brakes are excellent. It's got a great ride. Just had an oil change, so I think people put some maintenance into it, and it even has 3 keys with the original fob. Clean title, no brands, nothing like that. So we're gonna have some fun with this. I think we want to do like a little budget resto series, maybe repaint that hood, show you how you can do that on the Jeep. Maybe put like a budget boost on it, some used tires or something, and make this thing just a little bit cooler. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, been Tommy and Case, and of course Brendan. We'll see you in the next video.